What do the Red Sox do with this crater-sized hole they now have in their lineup? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. Just a PSA, I guess. No live stream this week, unfortunately. The game today is at 4 p.m., and I just simply can't make that work with my 9 to 5, unfortunately, so we're just going to have to skip it this week. I'm sorry to let you guys down like that. But in regards to the video we're talking about today, for the most part with this Rafael Devers trade stuff, we've really only talked about whether it's been right or wrong that the Red Sox actually moved on from him. We haven't actually focused on what this means for the Red Sox currently on the field, because right now, after the departure of Rafael Devers, the Red Sox are essentially relying on a whole lot of rookies here, and guys like Roman, Marcelo, and Narvaez, and a whole lot of guys who haven't been able to find consistency so far this season. It's a little bit of a mystery as to where the Red Sox offensive production is going to be coming from this season. Now, the Red Sox, they said, hey, we're not waving the white flag on the 2025 season, right? That's the exact words that Breslow used in his press conference when he got rid of his best hitter. So we'll see, sort of, maybe, right? You just got rid of $250 million. We'll see. Maybe there's something here by the deadline. The Red Sox can make a major trade that adds a major force to this lineup. But in my opinion, that's sort of, I'm going to believe it when I see it type stuff, right? I just don't know if the Red Sox are going to spend that $250 million midway through the 2025 season on trading for somebody. I would be really, really shocked if that happened. So if that's not going to be the case, and again, maybe it is the case, and we'll see over these next couple of months, but in the meantime, regardless of whether or not they make a move in July or whether or not they make a move tomorrow, the Red Sox still got to figure out what they're going to do with this DH position. Right now, there's two schools of thought. The first rule of thought here comes from Alex Cora, who spoke about this potential possible solution before yesterday's game, because in speaking with the media, he mentioned that he likes the idea of platooning Yoshida-Refsnyder and Masataka Yoshida at the DH position moving forward, mentioning the team could actually end up fast-tracking Masataka Yoshida's rehab. Let me just say, it is objectively hilarious that this entire season, this team has been like, yeah, Masa, he's doing okay in his rehab assignment, it's just not going super well. It's still going to be a pretty long period of time. All of a sudden, this happens. They're like, oh, yeah, that Masa guy, oh, no, he's going to be good to go as soon as humanly possible. We might be getting this guy back next week, right? It's just objectively funny to me that it's so abundantly clear that they kind of delayed as long as humanly possible this Masataka Yoshida rehab assignment. Regardless of that fact, though, and that's probably a video we could talk about separately, I actually kind of like this idea from Alex Cora of platooning both Yoshida-Refsnyder and Masataka Yoshida, because combined, they actually make a pretty formidable hitter in that DH role, right? Because last year, Masataka Yoshida absolutely crushed right-handed pitching. He hit .310 with a .374 on base percentage and a .458 slug for an .832 OPS or a .134 OPS plus, about 34% above league average production. That's a really solid DH bat. We talked about this a few times even before Rafael Devers ended up traded, right? We talked about the fact that the Red Sox could probably really use Masataka Yoshida's bat if they were able to find a way to fit him in here, right? He's a guy who doesn't strike out a lot. He makes a lot of contact, and yeah, it's not the hardest contact in the world, and yeah, we're going to see a whole lot of ground balls to second base, but with a team who's been struggling specifically with either hitting with runners in scoring position or strikeouts, Masataka Yoshida actually helps you with both of those things. So getting that bat in general just back in this lineup, I think is a really good thing. And then obviously you combine that with Yoshida-Refsnyder against lefties, and we all know what this dude does against lefties, right? He's one of the best left-handed pitching hitters in all of Major League Baseball. He's got a current .314 average, a .422 on base percentage, and a .569 slug this season against Southpaws for a .991 OPS and a .188 OPS plus. That's almost 100% better than your average Major League hitter against lefties. It's actually 88% better than your average hitter against lefties in Major League Baseball, right? He has the fourth highest OPS against lefties in the entire sport. This is an elite hitter when it comes to left-handed production. So you sort of combine the two of those guys, and you're not going to be able to replace Rafael Devers' home run potential. You're not going to be able to replace Rafael Devers' RBI potential with these two. I think that's abundantly clear, right? Neither of these guys, even combined, are going to go for like 33 home runs and 150 plus RBIs, which is what Rafael Devers was on pace for this season. But it's going to give you some legit production out of that DH spot, right? It's going to take some of the pressure off of these guys that are in the rest of this lineup that are trying to make up ground for the loss of Rafael Devers. And I think this makes a ton of sense, at least short-term solution-wise, for the Boston Red Sox. Now, there are a couple of issues with this problem for this Red Sox team. This solution doesn't exactly solve everything. The first thing that it does not solve is it does not solve what the logjam currently looks like for the Red Sox in the outfield, right? That was sort of one of the bigger issues with the Red Sox. This DH spot could hopefully solve that a little bit for a little bit longer. This solution doesn't do that, right? You're still going to have to make a decision. You're still going to have to make a gut-wrenching trade in order to figure out what your outfield going forward is going to look like. Obviously not as gut-wrenching as trading your best hitter and the guy you signed for 10 years in Rafael Devers, but still a pretty gut-wrenching trade. A guy like Duran, a guy like Yoshida-Refsnyder, potentially a guy like Cedar Rafaela. Those are the type of guys you're going to have to move in order to make this sort of platoon DH work for the rest of the season, especially if you're now fully committed to allowing Roman Anthony to start to truly develop at the major league level, right? Because we've only seen, a week from him? It hasn't been an incredibly impressive week either, so it's going to be really interesting to see if the Red Sox go this route, how they handle this outfield situation. The other issue with this kind of move for the Red Sox is we don't really know where Masa is in his rehab assignment, right? I made a joke earlier about, they've been kind of pushing it off, and now it's like, okay, come back, Masa, you're good to go, right? But what does he actually look like coming back to Major League Baseball? I mean, as much as he's probably perfectly fine in terms of his ability to swing the bat, he hasn't faced Major League pitching yet this year, right? So it's going to be a little bit of a mystery as to what that looks like. Is he going to end up having to rehab in Major League Baseball where for the first, couple of weeks, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, whatever it may be, he's a bit rusty and it ends up actually not really doing anything for you? Because this is going to be the guy that's going to be hitting in that DH role a majority of the time in this role, right? The Red Sox recently have faced a lot of lefties, but overall in Major League Baseball, you aren't facing as many lefties as you are righties. For the majority of the time, Masataka Yoshida is going to be your DH. So unless you're confident that this dude is fully ready for Major League Baseball here, you're still going to need either some sort of rehab assignment or you're going to need to let him go through his bumps at the Major League level. This isn't an immediate solution for this Red Sox team. And I think, in my opinion, maybe even bigger than creating another logjam in the outfield, which this Rafael Devers trade did nothing to solve, by the way. This is sort of the biggest part of this, right? Because if he comes back, it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really change the offensive situation for the Red Sox, which again, we talked about, isn't exactly super bright right now. The other current option the Red Sox have for this DH role is for the Red Sox to cycle through their outfield a little bit. And this is actually something that Craig Breslow mentioned pretty quickly here in his presser when he traded the best hitter on this team. He mentioned that he actually kind of likes the idea of cycling through this outfield a bit. Now, what would that look like? Well, it would obviously, Yoshida-Refsnyder would have to be a part of this, and he's coming back pretty quickly here. Last night, he started his rehab assignment in Worcester. He actually spoke with some of the Worcester beat reporters down there, specifically Katie Morrison-O'Day. She had a report that said that Yoshida said he was perfectly fine, right? He felt 100% and that the oblique strain was more of just sort of a soreness or a tweak. It wasn't really a strain to that degree. He feels 100% ready to go and ready to play wherever the team needs him. So once Yoshida gets back, which should be pretty quickly here, in fact, it'll probably be within the next couple of days, potentially at the beginning of this San Francisco Giants series, at maximum, probably Saturday, right in the middle of that Giants series, which is going to be, by the way, just absolutely heartbreaking to watch Rafael Devers. You know he's going to go off against the Red Sox, totally besides the point, but once Yoshida-Refsnyder gets back here, the obvious idea, at least Craig Breslow threw out, is that you cycle that DH role so you could fit Yoshida, Roman, Cedar, and Yoshida-Refsnyder on this Major League team. Now, I personally don't think Cedar Rafaela is going to be a huge part of this sort of DH cycle that would be created here, mostly because a lot of his value comes from his ability to play an incredible center field, right? You're not going to take that guy out of center field as much as you're going to probably cycle Duran, Yoshida-Refsnyder, and Roman Anthony in that DH role. And by doing so, again, you're creating a bit of a four-headed monster here, right? Because you're allowing these guys to not only get themselves off their feet a bit, you're also allowing the Red Sox to continue to potentially strategically place these guys in different parts of different outfields. You're getting that talent, like we talked about in Roman Anthony, right? You're allowing him to develop at the major league level. And I always think it's a positive thing to allow the number one prospect in the sport with maybe the most talent in this Red Sox system right now to develop at the major league level. So there are some absolute positives to this, right? You're able to kick the can down the road on a major decision that ultimately probably should have been made at the beginning of this year. You're able to get as many potential names in here as humanly possible. You're always able to have, okay, which guy's performing best right now, who's hot with the bat. You don't have to try and figure that out. You could just sort of cycle these guys in and out here. I don't think this is the worst idea in the world, but again, it's not a perfect solution because there are going to be problems with this one. The first one is, like we talked about at the beginning, it doesn't change the fact that you're currently relying on a lot of guys who simply aren't going to be as consistent as Rafael Devers was in your offense day in and day out. It doesn't really solve the idea of what the hell you're going to do with Masa, right? Are you going to put him into this rotation at some point? Are you going to make this guy play the outfield at some point, right? Because, I mean, ultimately, Roman Anthony, not exactly the greatest defender in the world as we've seen so far right now, but that could change a little bit, right? As he continues to develop in Major League Baseball, that confidence in the outfield is going to perk up a bit, but Masa's clearly a step below all of these guys in the outfield. We're going to sacrifice some defense just so that we don't have to make a move in order to sort of free up anything in this outfield. And three, speaking of freeing up anything in this outfield, it doesn't really do anything for this logjam, right? It creates a sort of solution for now, but in the long term, it's still going to have to be a problem the Red Sox solve at some point. So there's kind of a couple of things here that you could sit there and say, I don't know if this is exactly the solution the Red Sox are looking for. I'll be honest with you guys here, unless the Red Sox miraculously get Bregman back within the next couple of weeks, which probably, I would say like 99.9% chance of not happening here, I'm pretty worried about this Red Sox offense in terms of their overall production, right? I actually really like the talent the Red Sox have in this lineup right now, but I'm talking about day-to-day production, right? Because right now, again, you're relying on guys like Marcelo, guys like Anthony, and guys like Christian Campbell to be the superstar players, which simply is not happening right now, right? None of these guys are going scorched earth in their first couple of appearances at the major league level. You're relying on production from guys who have been consistently inconsistent this year, like Cedon, like Duran, like Story, right? That's probably the biggest one, like Campbell himself as well. And you're relying on guys who have been really solid this year in Toro and Narvaez, but probably shouldn't be relied on to be legit middle of the order bats or top of the order bats specifically for various different reasons and specific reasons for each of these guys. Right now, this offense looks pretty meek, right? It doesn't look great. I think of the two here between Alex Cora and Craig Breslow, which, by the way, is kind of another example of the fact that I don't know that these guys are ever really on the same page or have really ever been on the same page at any point this season. I think the first one makes more sense to me, right? Rob and Masa combined kind of make a perfect DH, at least for the time being. I think between the two of these guys, you're getting proven veteran experience in a position that you really need proven veteran experience for. I firmly believe that Masataka Yoshida will be good to go pretty quickly here if he only needs to be a DH. In fact, I could see him on a flight to this team tomorrow. In fact, I could see that, right? He looked pretty good in spring training. He hasn't stopped swinging. If you give him a week in Worcester, I bet he's good to go by next week at bare minimum here in terms of getting back on the team. And I do think that's the best solution for the Red Sox going forward. Plus, it allows them finally have to be forced to make a decision as to what the future of this outfield is going to look like, which I think is extremely important at this point in the season. Ultimately, what I'm talking about here is what we saw last night is that the Red Sox rotation is not going to be able to give you 6-7 innings of shutout baseball every single night, right? There's too much inconsistency in this rotation. They've been fantastic lately. I don't think you can rely on them to be that good over the course of the rest of the season. The Red Sox are going to have to find some offensive production, right? Breslow saying, we're not waving the white flag here. Okay, then figure out a solution quick, because We can't keep having these games where you're scoring 0-2 runs. You're going to end up losing more of those games than you win with the way the Red Sox rotation is structured right now. If you want to continue to compete, there needs to be a solution to this Rafael Devers sized hole in this lineup as soon as humanly possible. And again, maybe we do see an outside addition at some point here, but even then, you're still going to have to make moves on this Major League roster. So it's a little bit of chaos right now, I think, for the Red Sox offensively. And ultimately, I think the dust will settle at some point. But right now, you got to figure out a way to control this thing. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think? What do you think of these two solutions for the Red Sox DH problem? Which one do you think is a better solution for the Red Sox here? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it means a lot to me. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Again, I apologize for no live stream this week. I just messed up the schedule, for being honest with you. Either way, though, I appreciate you guys clicking on this video, and I will see you in the red seats.